Okay, hey everyone, this is Nana the Navigator. Welcome for another weekly review of House of Dragon Season 2. We are now at episode 6, I believe, and this was called the Smallfolk. I think it was the Smallfolk episode. You all bear with me for a second. We are having our weekly addition to the discussion come on the scene, but it looks like we're having a little bit of some technical difficulties. So she will be joining soon. So give me one moment. Let's see. But anyways, while we wait, just kind of, how was your day? If you're watching the replay, great. If you are live, that is also great. But let me know. You guys drop down in the comments and let us know how you enjoyed this particular episode, and kind of some of the things that you wanted to see. This is probably going to be for my book readers. There were some differences from what we've read to how certain things played out in the book. Specifically, that is, and we're going to talk more about this, but how Seasmoke was claimed was very interesting. That is not how the way it played out on the television show is definitely not how I imagined it in the book. I think also with the passing of Grover Tully, that was also something that was very different in the book. And I feel like I say this all of the time, but guys, the way the book is written, remember, these are people who were not omnipresent. And what do I mean by that? Omnipresent means they know all, see all. And the people that read the books were not always there. This is not a firsthand account. For some of them, yes. For some things, yes. And even if they were present, you also have to understand that you have 2 out of the 3 people present who were Team Green. So if you're Team Green, then you might be biased, right, to that particular team. And that might change things a little bit. And then that might change the way your perspective, and it might change the way you write, because remember, it doesn't matter how things necessarily happens, it matters what is written in the history books. And I keep reminding you all about what Corlys Valerian said about his grandchildren, giving the strong boys the name Valerian. The history books are not going to say that they were not Valarians. They're going to say that this was, Lucerys Valarian. This was Jacaerys Valarian. This was Joffrey Valarian. They're not going to call them strong. So the Valarian name, whether they are true Valarian by blood, will remain for eternity, or at least in the history books. Let's see. So that's just what I wanted you all to remember. What else do I want to talk about? A lot of interesting things, you guys. Again, I think this episode was a bit slow. I'm not going to say it was slow. I'm going to say it was different, because it was not generally what we imagine. With this is episode 6, and I think there's supposed to be like 8 episodes left in the season thus far. But anyways, we are being joined by Mrs. Daemon Targaryen. So thank you for joining. How are you?
Hi, I am fine. Little late, but I'm here.
Okay, we always have technical difficulties. I was over here running my mouth about certain differences about what I saw in the book versus what was being played out in front of us.
Okay.
There was a lot. There was a lot. And let me just kind of pull up some of my notes. So bear with me for a moment. But give me one second, guys. Oops. Okay, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, awesome. So I know I generally don't like doing things in order, and we don't have to necessarily do it in order, but I want to try as much as we can to do that. Um, the first scene. if I'm not mistaken, that we see is Aemond in the small council operating as king. Um, when I think of Aemond, it harkens me back to the line that Alice Rivers says to Daemon, where she says that those who strive for the throne are basically not fit to wield it.
Not fit to. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing him, um, I guess in that space, it's interesting to me how much you want it, but you don't know how to keep it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I first want to get your thoughts on the first scene and Aemon and the small council,
Okay.
kind of berating the Lannister who was requesting him to be summoned to the Reach. I think it was the Reach, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I think like the first, if I'm not mistaken, let me think back. The first scene was actually like it actually was the Lannisters walking up to the Reach,
Mhm.
meeting, the Lord or the Liege Lord. I don't know what he was. But I guess that was his castle because the Lannister army pretty much was gonna like set up shop and kind of overtake the castle while they were there.
Mhm.
And the Lannister Lord, I don't know what to call him. I don't know what his name is, but he seemed to be a bit cocky. Definitely a Lannister. I'm like, okay, I see a little bit of all the Lannister that pompous, like, oh, throwing around orders type thing. And I kind of thought it was interesting that he was kind of like saying, send a raven, to Aemon to do this, kind of like giving orders.
Mhm.
So when it went to the scene that you're talking about at the council meeting where Aemon is just like, who does he think he is? Like, who is he to, send orders to me on, coming out with the dragon? I mean, I was kind of on Aemon's side with that because who are you to summon
Mhm.
with my dragon to
Mhm.
just to meet you? Like, who are you? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, so I didn't have a problem with that. The one thing that gets to me about Aemon is the fact that he is not um a ruler of the people. Like he does not
Mhm.
care about the people who he's ruling over in the
Mhm.
same way that I feel like Daemon is. Like they both share that.
Mhm.
Um and
There's,
I
there's a level of disrespect with the people that they're
the
supposed to be
disrespect for
ruling.
the small folk, the people,
Mhm. Mhm.
in the same way that Daemon treated the people in the Riverlands, the what are their name, the Brackens, the same
Mhm.
way that he treated them. And I to go back to the last show, I don't think that was a dream.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think that was a dream with when the Brackens came in the middle of the night and told him like we are not going to submit to you pretty much and walked away. And so I think there are parallels between Daemon and Aemon in the fact that Aemon does not care for his subjects and Daemon does not either, and they're both failing.
Mhm.
They're both like failing, like their ego and their like arrogance is like kind like I'm sorry, Alicent kind of mentioned it, like you're so young and so I don't know, I can't remember the word she said, but basically she was calling him he's too arrogant for his own good, pretty much is what she was saying.
Mhm.
And I mean, for that reason, I do agree with how he's handling the people, how he's handling the people in King's Landing. Um, but everything else that he said and did, I was I was okay with. Like I was okay with him kind of checking the Lannister guy, like
Yeah,
who
I was okay with that too.
I was okay with him even. I don't know. We can get to this part because I love this part of that scene when he said, "Bring back Otto Hightower."
Yeah.
Or was that the scene, or was it a different scene? No,
That was
this
that
was a
was a
different scene. I'm
it was
sorry.
a different scene, but I'm okay kind of packing all of those together.
Okay, because I'm getting it confused. Okay,
No, it's
the
okay.
scene,
'Cause it was
the first scene is when he basically told his mom to get
your
out,
excuse.
get O-U-T. He told Alicent to get O-U-T. Shout out, is that Changing Faces? I think it is, the R&B group. He told her to go.
But you know what? I think in the while I agreed with certain things with Aemond, in that small council scene, there was a lot that I noticed
Okay, what?
and a lot that I did not agree with.
Okay.
First of all, I thought it was interesting how he wanted to use the triarchy to break the blockade.
Okay.
And I'm like, of course, there needs to be something done about the blockade. But I was like, you are pulling in an enemy, an untrustworthy, potentially dangerous enemy, right? To be
Mhm.
siding with you. Who's to say that they do not, switch sides? Who's to say that they do not, do something to kind of put your plans in
Yeah,
disarray. So I thought that
that was
was,
a very silly. Yeah,
yeah. So I
I
was
didn't agree with that either. I forgot about that part. Yeah, yeah.
when he said that, it made me like question his judgment as leader and
He's arrogant.
arrogant. And what I thought was also interesting is that I'm like, I feel like the small council, they're afraid of him too.
Yeah, they are. And
And
his mother's afraid of him.
right.
Like everybody is afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree with that. That was another thing that I didn't like. I don't like how he treats the small folk, and he's it's almost seeming like he's kind of desperate by going to an enemy. So that's saying that they're doing something. It's working. What Rhaenyra is doing, what the sea snake is doing with the blockade is working, and now you're trying to get an enemy to come on your side. It's foolish. It's
Mm-hmm.
very similar to like he's very similar to Daemon. He is kind of like a baby Daemon. Like they both move very foolish ways, thinking that they can bend people to their will just because they have a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's silly, and yeah, it just yeah, it's just foolish. What did you think about him telling Alicent to go? And what do you feel? Because I feel like you have a little soft spot for Alicent a little bit.
No, I don't. I don't think I have a soft spot for her. I try to be fair.
Yeah.
And I thought that she, in her talking to him and in her, touching his face and telling him basically, haven't you the grievances of your childhood been
Right.
sufficiently avenged?
You said a
I
word
felt
right
like
there.
that was her trying to reason with him in a way to see if, just to maybe pull at heartstrings. But your moms can do that to their sons. Moms
Mhm.
can do that to their children, where it's like, strongest person in the world, like, you could still come to me and break, and it's okay, you know what I mean? And I'm like, the fact that he did not acquiesce to that, it Alicent's children, which we're going to talk a little bit about, I think her conversation with her brother Gwaine,
Mhm.
and about her son Daeron, I think his name is.
I feel like she's having an epiphany about her parenting skills
Yeah, it's her
and lack
fault.
thereof. It's
It's
all
her
your
fault.
fault.
Her
And that's
children
how it's
are
seen.
right. Her children, her two sons, are degenerates because of her. I'm
It's
like,
your fault. Like
mhm,
Aemond did not just become Aemond overnight.
right.
Aemond became Aemond because of your bitterness and because of your hatred for this person. And you built that up in your two sons.
But
Like
the thing that's also interesting to me is that I'm like, Aemond, I did not think Aemond to necessarily be this way when he was young. Remember, he was like,
right.
Aegon was like, oh, I can't believe I have to marry her, Haelena. And he's like, well, if I would do it if that was my duty. Or, he seems to be
Yeah.
someone, I don't know what changed. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was his
I
eyes.
think he just it's time, and I think having the largest dragon, it did something to his ego and it
Mhm.
created a monster, and also him not having any kind of good parenting.
Mm-hmm.
He was looked over because he was the second son, and
Mm-hmm.
so he got like the brunt, just like Daemon. They both got like the brunt of like they didn't get attention,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't get much affection. They loved their brother and like
Right, but
Daemon loved his sister,
can I
but they
can I
just
highlight a difference though? Because it's very okay. It's very interesting for both of them because I'm like Rhaenyra was the named heir, right? So Aegon was never supposed to be the heir as so long as Viserys was living,
Mhm.
and so it's not as if. So that's why I kind of feel like Aegon acted as a second son, and what I mean by that is generally the person who is groomed to be the heir, they are groomed differently than the ones following them. It's
Right.
almost like when I look at like Prince William and Prince Harry. You know, Prince Harry was always seen as the less refined brother,
Mhm,
and he
mhm.
could do that because he was the quote unquote spare. So I felt like Aegon. It's interesting with him being, I guess he would have been second in line according to Viserys, right? So the
Well, her
spare,
kids would have been second.
fair,
Yeah,
fair.
they were never supposed to be in line unless all of her kids um
Well, I guess I'm thinking of before she had children, before she got married, when she was still
but
considered
they were
the.
already betrothing that was the whole sale
Yeah, that's true.
of in that time in the medieval times, that's the whole sale of marrying you. That's why all of the men were lining up, like she
Mhm.
was having to go and try to find a suitor and everybody was lining up because they knew. That's why the sea snake, he made it a point that he wanted his sons to hold his name because he knew that they would one day be king. And that was the whole, like, we're going to come together because my grandchild is going to be the heir to the throne. So it was never supposed to touch um the second son, Aegon.
Mhm.
And I don't know if the second one, Aemon, was born back all the way back then when Laenor and uh uh Rhaenyra got married and all that stuff. I don't know. I can't remember if either one of them was born. Probably, maybe, like, I think Aegon was born. He was a baby because that was around the time when they ha- unalived the boar and all that stuff. I think that was so. Yeah. So I don't think that they were ever supposed to. They they were never supposed to be thinking about the throne. I
Mhm.
don't know if they never dwell into if Otto, put it in their ear. And I feel like that may be why Aegon was such a degenerate, because he felt overlooked by his dad, by everybody, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and Aemon was just in the background with his big dragon, just being bitter because everybody talked about him. And he just gained confidence with the dragon, I guess.
Mhm.
And maybe that just created a monster. They're both monsters, but in different ways.
Absolutely. And sticking to the small council scene, this one was short, but when Aemond was like, "Why are they mad at me, the small folk, because they couldn't eat?" I just thought that there's a level of awareness that you lack, and it really upset me. I had to write down the quote because when he was talking to Larys Strong, and I guess Larys is thinking that Aemond is going to name Larys his hand, and
Mhm.
Larys is like, "Not you, Toad,
I
Otto."
love
But
that. I love that. I
but,
love that.
but I was just like, as someone who has a deficiency, you have one eye, right? I was just like, to speak to someone that way who is of service to you. I just thought that that
I
was
don't think
so.
that's. I don't. But your take, like, I get where you're the how you're seeing it, but
Mm,
I didn't take it like that. I took it as him being smart enough to know and understand that he's being handled,
mm,
and this person is sly. And I feel like Eamon was sitting back and he was watching everything,
mm,
because I don't know if it's, I know that there is rumors. I don't know if it's just something that people know that happened, but they don't talk about. But this man killed, unalived his father and his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and he saw what how this person was in his brother's ear.
Mm-hmm.
He is smart enough to know, like, oh, you think that you're gonna, just say everything to try to appease me,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can become my hand. And when he said, "Not you, you told," it was so funny. It was so funny to me because it was like he was almost like he was accepting his pageant crown, and like
Mm-hmm.
Aemon just snatched it from under him. I didn't take it as like it being like a slight or whatever. Him, no, I feel like it was like, no, you thought you were gonna get something. No, you're not. You need to go get my granddaddy and bring him
But
here.
may I? But I guess my thing is this: is that it to me it almost again highlights his lack of awareness. You've got to know that this guy is probably, and maybe this goes to Aemon's arrogance, but Larys is probably one of the most, if not the most dangerous man in Westeros, and they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, for me, I there's a way to handle people like that. There's a way to, you don't want to fan the flames or turn them, they say keep your enemies. If he is an enemy in your mind, that's cool, but he doesn't need to know that he's the enemy. And I
Oh
just felt
yeah.
like Aemond didn't do a good job with that, because I feel like you are, as we're probably seeing, as the scene with Larys and Aegon, we're seeing that the wheels are churning, and it's probably churning not because he being Larys wants to have Aegon avenge Aemond, but it's because you hurt his little feelings, and now he's probably going to come after you in some sort of way, shape, or form.
But you know what, Nana?
Mhm.
I honestly, I don't feel like Laris is as dangerous as I don't think he's that dangerous, and I think that people know because if you look back at the scene with what Aemon said, he hinted at and he slighted him even more than calling him a toad when he said, I would rather have a hand that actually like takes care of his family and looks out for his family and doesn't do things to do
Mhm.
like harm his family. He
Mhm.
basically is telling him, I would never put you anywhere near me, and I
Mhm.
know that you did what you did to the people closest to you. And so
So,
that's what I saw with
so why does he remain on the council?
because he's valuable. That's the only reason why. Because he's
So,
valuable and like he knows things. He's like he took the white worm's position. So
right.
he has people all over. And so that's beneficial to keep him there. That is enough. Just him being in the room is enough to keep him there. But
Mhm.
anybody that like I feel like Alicent was a fool to trust him.
Mhm.
Anybody that truly like Aegon was a fool to trust him. Anybody that truly trusts him
Mhm.
is foolish. And
Yeah,
to
but I'm like,
think
I
that
don't
he's
want,
a real friend is foolish.
but
And
I'm like, yeah, I don't want you to know that you're someone like that. I don't want you to know that I can let you know that you can't handle me the way
yeah,
you handled my brother, but there is a way that you can put them in their place without berating him.
but he
And
does that to everybody because he had just did that to the Lannister guy too.
right.
I
And
feel-
but that's
yeah.
that's my problem with Aemon, because I'm like, that is the quickest way to make enemies.
But remember, Aegon did something similar to the Lannister guy when he like kind of made
Yes.
him have the
Right.
kid ride his back. Like they don't understand. They are two monsters. They were never taught anything. They were taught to be monsters by their mother, who was
Mm-hmm.
a horrible mother, and so they don't know anything else. Sadly,
Mm-hmm.
they were failed, and so they both move in a way that is like arrogant, cocky, and like disrespectful to people that they don't care about or that they think that are less than them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we are where we are with, in the House of the Dragon, where you've put these people in a seat of power for your own ambition, Alicent and
Mm-hmm.
Otto, who's
Mm-hmm.
missing in action. And now y'all are letting them run amok. Now one is injured and incapacitated right now, and then the other is just walking around like he's just untouchable and that he can do whatever he wants. and it's like they moved very similar because they're both disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Like Aegon just was foolish enough to really take counsel from him and not just use him for what he was beneficial for. I will say Alicent did that. She used him for what he was beneficial for, let him see her feet and go on about your business. Like there's no need to be chummy with this man. Now, could he have handled it better? Yeah, but he's so cocky and he's in a seat of power, I feel like. So he
Mm-hmm.
probably feels like, it's like, I don't know, it's like the guy who never got women or something, and then all of a sudden he glows up and then he turns into a horrible person. It's like he's been wanting power for so long and now he's got it, and he doesn't know really what to do with it. And so he's just being awful because that's what Alicent raised him to be. And it just makes me even just roll my eyes at her because it's like all of her scenes were just her kind of like sulking and just like, oh no, oh no, my son, you know how he is. You know, Aemon, you know how he is. Girl, did you not sit up here and like make
Mm-hmm.
women drink moon tea because your first son was going around SAing left and right, and you talking about Aemon? It's not just it's everybody but Haelena, and I don't know Daeron. I don't know if he got stuff going on. We did hear about him today though.
Mm-hmm.
But
And so it's obvious that Daeron, they're setting us up. He's probably going to be a big character in season 3.
right, I just
We've
don't
talked so
get
much
her.
and haven't seen him.
I
Yeah.
don't get her with how it's like she's just now we're supposed to feel sorry for Aegon. They're both like bad people, and I would probably say Aegon is worse because he did more atrocities. He was fighting his kids like chickens in a chicken
Yeah.
fight. Like that's horrible. Like you can say what you want about Aemon. Yeah, okay. He was in a battle scene and the bigger dragon won. Yeah, he messed up and he the baddest thing he did was the thing with Luke. I don't think that outweighs all the crazy ish that Aegon was doing. I think that they're both horrible, but Aegon, his stuff was just atrocious. And I just it's all out, and she sat there and she was complicit in it because we saw the scene in season 1 with her sitting and questioning, oh it was so gross, questioning the girls
Mm-hmm.
that he did that to, and she knew he did it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you are a horrible person, Alicent. And now it's like she's reaping everything that she sowed in with these kids,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just is and the realm is gonna pay for it.
Nope, agreed. But I think it's also interesting how arguably, no, not arguably, I think it's pretty clear that Aegon is the most degenerate out of the two, but
Mhm.
we like and sympathize with Aegon more than we do Aemond.
I don't.
No. You don't.
No.
I can't sympathize with Aemond. I'm
I
sorry.
don't
I'm
I
like,
don't sympathize with Aemon, but I definitely don't not I don't sympathize more with Aegon than Aemon. I would sympathize more over I sympathize more with Aemon over Aegon. I don't sympathize with Aegon at all.
oh,
He got
okay. I will say that I
he was the
sympathize.
narrator, or he was the orchestrator of his own demise. Nobody made him get on that dragon. He did it himself. He wasn't a part of the plan. He did all of those things himself. He 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 have you can blame, oh Allison should have said it like this or whatever. Nobody made him do anything. He did that. He did that. He shouldn't have been there, because if Aemon wouldn't have done it, Melees would have. He would have been gone. Like he's not a warrior. He's not a fighter. He was losing. He was losing when Aemon came up and said Dracarys.
Yeah, he
Or
did,
he
but
was
I think for me, where my sympathy for Aegon comes from is knowing that like your brother is the one who did this to you. There's something to be said about being betrayed by your,
by your
I don't
brother.
even want to say your kin. It's deeper than that with siblings. Being betrayed by your
Yeah.
sibling is just different. And I'm like all in pursuit of the throne.
Yep, in pursuit of the throne, but also we have to remember it's also because there's a lot of bitterness there. And this boy, Aemond, does not do good. He holds grudges. He doesn't let go of things.
Yeah, and that's
So
my thing too. I'm like, you're holding a grudge to
he he
something that,
he yeah.
like, you're bringing, this is a knife fight and you've brought a nuclear weapon. That's how I
You brought a
feel about
dragon.
Amy.
He did the same thing with Luke, though. Don't we see a pattern?
Yeah, and that's
Like,
my problem. That's my problem with Aemon. I'm like, you're too
and
sensitive.
that's how I know that that dragon is what did it for him. He could have been a decent person, but that dragon gave him that, because he may have been like at one point, oh good, like okay, definitely better than Aegon, but that dragon, it just probably turned him into a different person.
Mhm.
And I feel like um he wanted to, before that fight scene happened where he Dracarys Aegon, he wasn't it wasn't planned for Aegon to be there. Like, I can see, for me, I can see if maybe Aemon came and said something to him to put something in his ear to make him come, but he wasn't a part of the plan. He showed up and kind of put a wrench in their plan. So it would be one thing if it was orchestrated in a way to unalive Aegon, but it wasn't. And he took that chance at he saw a chance and he took it.
No, I don't know if I agree with that. It might
But
not have been the initial plan to orchestrate taking Aegon out, but I feel like once
when he saw
Aegon was
his,
a player,
yeah,
then what's his name, Aemond pivoted and was like,
yeah,
okay, let's
this is
do
my
it. Let's
chance.
go.
And
Yeah.
I think it was building it, but I just, it was a split second thing, and I think he probably always wanted to do harm to him,
Mhm.
and that was
Mhm.
a good way to do it because he was bitter and holding on grudges from his brother, like literally being his biggest hater his whole
Mhm.
life. And so that was his chance to take him out, because he probably knew, like everybody else knew, Aegon is the weakest link
Mhm.
out of the three of the, well, four, there's four of them, the siblings, five if you count Rhaenyra, but Aegon is the weakest one. And so it's like he took that easy, it's an easy way to get him. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not team Aemon, but I'm not gonna sympathize more with Aegon just because.
I know, I understand. And I guess for me, like I appreciate, I do not appreciate, maybe that's not the right word. I do think that Aemond is a great villain. I do think he is.
Yes, he's
And
playing the good villain, right?
right.
He's playing a great villain.
And I think he's interesting. I think he's complex. But for me, I'm like, your villain origin story is, it's got to be more than just being embarrassed. It's got to be more like, I just, for me, and that's why I can't hop on the Aemond bandwagon in
Yeah.
that way, is because I'm like, bruh, they made fun of you when you were a child. Okay, now what? You know what I mean?
Hold on
Okay,
to that
but
stuff though, Nana. You would
huh?
think, like, in real life, this is a show, but in real life, people hold on.
No,
I've
I
heard
know, but
grown
I'm like, I
women
want
talking
more.
about people making fun of them, like certain types of women making fun of them, and they hate those certain type of women for the rest of their
I
lives.
know, and
People
with those
really
people,
do.
and while I know that's real,
They are
for me, it's
weird,
not an excuse. Like I'm like,
right?
tell me you got ran over by a car. Somebody, took the life of your mom in front of you. Something more drastic,
Other
other
than,
than
well,
bringing
they
you a
took his
pig
eye. They
as a
took his eye.
dragon.
They took his eye. Maybe that's something to be
Yeah,
bitter about.
yeah, but I'm like, you also, again, we talked about this before. I'm like, but then you said you gained a dragon, so why is it not okay? You lost an eye but gained a dragon. You said that as a kid, so why are you still holding on to that?
Because he
I don't
didn't mean
know.
it, probably. He just
Yeah,
wanted to end, like, he wanted it to end or whatever. He didn't want them fighting or something. I don't know. Who
yeah.
knows? But the kid is crazy. They're all a little.
Yeah, a little
Wackadoo.
interesting. But I want to move on. We have
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on Aemond, and there's a lot of things to unpack in this episode. So I guess the next important scene or next scene was with Sir Steffon Darklyn, and I put his grandmother's grandmother because when Rhaenyra said that, I literally just rolled my eyes. But okay, we have Sir Steffon Darklyn, and his grandmother's grandmother was a Targaryen princess, which makes him fit to try to claim a dragon. Um.
You know what
Okay.
I liked?
Okay.
I liked that she gave him a choice.
Mm,
And she told him, I I am not putting like I'm not forcing you. I'm not commanding you to do this because and she let him know this is a life or death situation, or this could be the end of you. This is not an
mhm,
easy task.
mhm,
And I said last week that I wanted to see, like, what was this like bonding ceremony? What was it like? Because I
mhm,
know we heard that like Raina almost was unalive when
mhm,
she tried to claim Vermithor or whatever. But it's like I wanted to see it, and I like the fact that I feel like if it was Aemond, he would have forced someone to do it.
mhm,
But I like
mhm,
that she was compassionate enough to say, "Hey, you don't have to do this.
mhm.
Nobody has ever done this before. You can back out of this." And he just felt so honored, like my silly self probably would too. I would be just like him, like, "Oh my gosh,
Well, I was gonna ask, I'm like, would you, knowing the risks, would you attempt to claim a dragon?
okay." Let me just say, before I saw the rest of the episode, I would have said yes.
Okay.
But here's why.
Mhm,
Because when we come to find out, we're going to talk about it. But I didn't know. Well, I guess I did though, didn't I? Well, through Game of Thrones, but I didn't know like that. It could be so easy that the dragon can kind of claim you,
mhm,
like, and so I would say now. Before I would say yes, but now I would say no. I want a dragon to like claim me. I want a dragon to like come up to me like a puppy, like, and be like, "I want you." That's what I want.
mhm.
I don't want to like
So you
chance.
wouldn't. Because Sir Darklyn, I think the motivation behind him deciding to do it is that it was, if you do it, you make the history books. You
Right.
are extra
No.
history.
No,
But
I don't need to. I'm not. I don't need to be in no
yeah,
history books like that.
and
No.
and so I also wanted to kind of talk about what happened because Seasmoke really did say psych. I had to
Okay.
watch this episode or this scene the second time because I was like, I didn't know. I was looking and I'm like, hold up, Seasmoke was giving him a seat.
She put
Like,
she put her head down. Is it a girl
mhm,
or a boy? I keep asking.
I think Seasmoke is a boy.
Okay, he kept putting he put his head down. I'm not gonna say he didn't keep putting his head down, but he put his head down, right?
Mhm,
What I think happened is Darklyn, Lord Darklyn got a little too excited too soon.
yeah,
Like too soon. And it's
yeah.
like these handlers are singing in High Valyrian and they're speaking in High Valyrian, like, and they're telling him the words to say, and he said it. And when he said it, Sea Smoke came down and got into a kind of submissive stance, right? Like,
Mhm,
you can ride me.
mhm,
But it's like he said something like, "I did it." And it's
mhm,
like, dude, when he said, I was like, "No, don't say anything." I'm
mhm,
like, I was like, "No, you don't talk. Like, don't like you get on him, you get on him, and then say something high." But I think that's what did it, and I'm just assuming that that's he.
No, I was upset with him too. I was like, first of all, bruh, what do you mean I did it? You didn't even touch the saddle. So what do you mean I did it? Like,
And
get on him and then
don't
say
you
I
have
did
to
it.
like? I know that like Aegon and I think Luke also, or and maybe it was Aemon. but I think it was Luke too. I think sometimes they do speak to their dragon in regular, like in English,
in the
but most
common
of the
tongue.
words that they say is High Valyrian. So most times
Mhm.
that they speak to the dragon is in High Valyrian. So my thing is, does this man know High Valyrian? Because we know a lot of Westerosi
Yeah.
people don't speak it,
Mhm.
and so maybe they should have took a little bit more time. I know they don't have time, but maybe teach him a little bit about things to say and not to say and all that kind of stuff. I feel
Mhm.
like it happened so fast. Like they had the scene where she asked him to do it, gave him the option of doing it. He can back out if he wanted to. He said, "No, I'm going to do it." And then the next thing you know, they're walking in the room, walking in the
Mhm.
cave. And I'm just like, did he get prepped? Like,
Mhm.
does he know what to say? Because I feel like he didn't know what to say. I feel like they should tell.
Whoops. Hello?
They understand High Valerian.
Mhm.
So you gotta, yeah, I think that's
No,
what
I
did it.
understand. And then Seasmoke said Dracarys and
It
took
was
him
so
out.
sad. It was so
And
sad.
and the other dragon tamer, I'm not sure. Is that what their name? What is their
I
name?
don't know. I just say handlers. I don't
The
know what they
handlers,
are.
handlers, okay, the handlers, like he went ahead and took the thing to his throat. I was like, yeah, he already knows Dragonfire isn't the way to go. And so yeah, I felt really bad. I knew Rhaenyra felt, but I was just like, wow, Sea Smoke is. I had a couple of things when they were singing the High Valerian lullaby.
Hmm.
I'm like, were they calling Sea Smoke specifically, or was it up at any dragon who responds? I was just interested to see about that. Like, were
I
they
think it
looking
was.
at Sea Smoke?
I don't know, but I that song sound very familiar to the same song that the song that Damon was singing
Oh,
to.
it was the same song.
It was
It
the
was the
same
same.
song.
It was the
So
same song.
yeah, and so
So I don't know. I was just kind of like, how do they just wait for any dragon to come up? But I'm like, there's got to be a way because when Rhaenyra wanted her dragon, we'll get to that. Her dragon came. They summoned her dragon. So anyway, yeah, it's very interesting. Someone was trying to someone that I also follow was translating the words of the song. Which is pretty sinister because there's the where dragons come from is not all roses. It's actually supposedly coming from like dark magic.
hmm,
But nevertheless, I want to move on. So rest in peace to Steffon Darklyn. You tried, but you failed.
try your best.
Hmm. And you
Yeah.
didn't do it. But we move. I wanted to kind of go back and we saw a familiar face
Oh,
uh, in Damon's visions, dreams, whatever we're calling it.
his dreams.
Seeing,
He's always sleeping when it happens.
yeah.
This
And
was so
I was
interesting.
really happy to see the actor playing Viserys
I
back on.
was too. It was so sad.
Mhm.
All of his scenes were sad to me.
Who, Viserys?
Yes. I just it's like because it's like a brother's love, and it's like I could see that like they really love each other, and
Mhm.
he really let his brother, like Damon really let his brother down. And
Mhm.
it's like he's having to reckon with that. And
Mhm.
it was really sad. Like it was sad when he was on the throne and they redid that was so cool to me. Like they redid that scene from last season.
Mhm.
He brought him in there and he like made him leave and go back to his first wife. Um I like that. What did you feel about that? Like cuz I was like did it's like the same tone. It was the same
Mhm.
everything. I was like I wonder did they have to like put him side by side with the last season with that scene cuz it was almost perfect with how
Mhm.
he said it. What
I
did you
know.
think about
And
that?
I got to hear one of my favorite words where they say lick spittle. I'm like, what the heck is a lick spittle? But they said it again, and I was like, ooh, lick spittle. But
Yeah,
no, I enjoyed seeing it. That was an emotional scene to
it
me.
was very
Um,
emotional. He was crying and like Damon was trying to like escape out of the room that he so wants to
you know
be.
what? I think, and I told you this before, but I really do think that Damon has a lot of trauma associated with like women and childbirth. And I was like, because he seems so what's the word, disjointed, disconnected, I think, like when his wife Lena, you were giving birth, and like, he just looked in agony. And then when Rhaenyra was giving birth and she had the stillbirth, I was like, he was trying to drown out everything that she was going through. He would not come to her when she asked. I'm like, it just kind of dawned onto me now. I think he has some trauma because I believe his mother died in childbirth as well, right?
I don't know.
I think she did, because he was like 2 or something when she passed. So, or maybe shortly after he was born. I can't really remember, but I'm like, there I think that Daemon has some sort of issue with, definitely with death, I think, of loved ones. But I think that, because I even remember when him seeing his brother deteriorating, and it was like him, when his brother is deteriorating in the bed. And for me, when they first saw him, when him and Rhaenyra came from Dragonstone to introduce the children and to, claim the birthright of Driftmark for Luke, I was looking at him, and I'm like, his facial expression is telling me like, he is pained to see his brother in this condition. But I also feel like he tries to do things to not have to face that. And
Mm,
so I was like, I don't think that Daemon is this cold-hearted individual that he sometimes comes off as.
mhm,
I think that it's deeper than that, and I think that he is trying to run away from it. This is also something that Alice River said, which is like, oh, when things don't work out for him, what does he do? He turns into a runner. He's a track star. And I'm like, okay. And, just the situations that he's seen, with him and his brother, disappointing his brother countless times over and over again, towing the line, and everyone excusing it. But him always, kind of coming back. I
yeah,
have faith in Damon. I'm not happy with him, obviously, this season, but
mm.
I'm not losing faith in Damon, because
I'm
I
not.
also do think he's more complex than we give him credit
I
for.
I think that what I was maybe hoping for is what is happening. I feel like he is just working through all of his things, and I feel like Damon is going to come out on, hopefully going to come
Mhm.
out on the other side, because it seems like he's moving more towards like being compassionate and like um you know
Mhm.
making it right with his brother. But it's like if you're there and you're crying with your brother,
Mhm.
like think about his daughter, like think
Yeah.
about your wife. And that's what I'm waiting, I'm hoping and I'm waiting for that to connect. Like, because it seems like he's going through the motions of all of his different traumas. Like he's seeing Lena,
Mhm.
he's seeing his brother, you know even when he woke up the last time and he was talking to Strong, and Strong told him that the Tully, Grover Tully, had passed, and
Mhm.
he just basically just started crying when he left out. And I was just like, oh, Damon, like he's really going through it.
Mhm.
And I just want him to get it together and like
Mhm.
go and support your wife.
Mhm.
Just go and support, because like what you said, like what Alice said, Alice, I think her Rivers, what
Mhm.
she said is like, you know, your brother, he didn't want the throne.
Mhm.
Like just like you said, Rhaenyra didn't want the throne. Like, but they were good. Like your brother was good on the throne. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Like
Mhm.
I was hoping that sunk in with him. Really, I was hoping. I was like, please let this sink in. Like, give up this whatever you have going on and go and support your wife. Um, but yeah.
Agreed. Just hopping to, I think I just put this up a tad bit early, but this is one of my favorite scenes.
Really? I
Aegon
didn't
and
like
Jaime.
it. Oof.
You did it? Oh, I
No,
love it.
because I was like, do not hurt, like leave him alone. I didn't know what he was gonna do to his brother right there.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna do anything, but I was like, oh, he threatening you, and he knows you're lying. And I'm just looking at Aegon, and Aegon said, I don't remember anything. Yes, you do. You remember
Like, when
everything.
did you notice when he saw him, he was like,
Mhm.
no, no, no,
Uh-huh.
like he was scared. Like
Mhm.
he
Mhm.
knows.
Mhm. And it made me sad. It just made me sad because, again, it harkens me to the brothers, Viserys and what's his name,
Daemon.
Daemon, and I'm like, they were just different. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, she decided to talk. Anyway, no, it just reminded me of those two, and I'm just like, oh, this would not happen. As much as they fought, they still had each other's
They
backs,
still loved each other.
and the love was there at the end.
They would never
And
do that to each other, like as much as Damon would act out like they had love for each other.
and a part of me is like, maybe does that have to do with, we were talking about the heir and the spare, and Viserys wasn't the heir. He wasn't named heir until Rhaenyra was like in a uterus in
Right,
uterine.
right, right,
So I was like, they didn't grow up saying Viserys was going to be king, and none
right.
of that. And so that was a little that also makes me a little bit upset too, because I'm like, there's a bit of jealousy there with Daemon and his brother, Viserys, and it just as I feel like Aemond was definitely, there was a bit of jealousy
Right.
with
So aren't
Aegon.
isn't it like they're very similar stories
Hmm.
where you have Viserys and Aegon very similar. They were never in line to be king.
Hmm.
They weren't supposed to be the heirs, but they somehow found their way on the throne
Hmm.
with brothers who are kind of like firecrackers.
Hmm.
Um
And
it's very interesting.
I'm also the thing, we all say that Aegon is an idiot, which he, in a lot of ways, he is. But in other ways, I'm also like, you know what? He did have an innocent awareness of the small folk that
He
Aemon
did.
didn't have and Otto didn't have. He's like, well, can we just give this one? You know what I mean? The money, or
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was a way to address them that I feel like these people, Aemon and the other, people of the,
Small council, yeah.
right, and people of the crown, the monarchy, did not recognize. And so, and I'm like, I wonder if that also had a little bit to do with the amount of time he spent with the small folk.
Because that's let's
And
be
not
honest,
the
that's
pits,
where
but
he
in
was
the fighting
all the
pits,
time.
in the brothels, and all of that,
That's where
giving
he
that
wanted to
free.
be. Like when they came to get him to tell him he was gonna be king, he was like, "No, leave me here." He wanted to be with the small folk. Like that's where he wanted to be. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
But anyways, I think it's pretty obvious Aegon is in danger.
Oh yeah.
Um, Aegon is in danger, and I don't know. Obviously, Grandmaster Orwell, I believe he knows it as well. Just
Yeah. I was wanting Alicent to walk in when he was doing that to him,
Mhm.
pressing down on him. I was
And
like, "Come
so,
on, somebody walk in. Somebody like," but no, it was the maester.
and that brings me to Larys. So Larys has the conversation with Aegon, doesn't give him milk of the poppy or whatever it is. Says you're still gonna have pain, but your mind will be clear. What's his motivation? What does Larys have up his sleeve?
Maybe since he sees that his little ploy to be hand has been thwarted,
Mhm.
now he's kind of wanting to, because I feel like he knows everything. He's the
Mhm.
worm, white worm, whatever you want to call it. He's like Larys, um, from Game of Thrones. Like he knows
Mhm.
everything. So I feel like he's going to be trying to get Aegon back to his senses,
Mhm.
so that like he can basically tell what happened or verbalize, be in his right mind enough to verbalize what happened. And if Aemon did like attempt to do something to him, if
Mhm.
he can verbalize it. That's what I thought. That's what I saw that as. At
And
first, I thought he was trying to harm him or something, but then I was like,
mhm.
no, I don't think he's trying to do that. It's like he wants him to like not be, high off milk of the poppy.
Right.
So yeah.
But my thing is, what's it to him? I mean, I guess I know what's it to him. He doesn't want Aemond. Aemond is not someone you could bend and
Yeah,
manipulate,
he can
right?
bend, he can move, he can manipulate Alicent, he can do it
Mhm.
with Aegon, as well, but he really can do it with Aemon, and that's what I like about Aemon. I like that you can't really play with him too much. And I love that he called for, because we didn't you didn't mention this, but like you were saying it last week, and a lot of people were saying it, like, where's Otto? Like, I never thought
Mhm.
I would like want Otto back. And that was the first thing, the first smart thing that I saw Aemon do. Like, the really smart thing I saw him do was like bring
Bring
my
him back.
grandfather here.
But I
Like,
want to know where he is. I'm like, is he upset that he was kicked out? Does he not know what
right,
happened? I'm
because
sure
didn't
he
Allison
does.
say, like, where is he at? Like, he's not answering. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, your grandpa. Grandpa should come. Even if they kick you out, you come back.
oh, but the brother said, is Dwayne or Gwaine, whatever his name
Mhm.
is. He said
Mhm.
that, you know, the liege lord, or the lord who Kristen Cole unalived in like the third episode, I think it was. He kind
Oh,
of,
Beesbury. Yes, that was actually in my notes.
yeah,
Beesbury. There.
Beesbury. That house is now about to run up on the high towers
Mhm.
because of that. So maybe he's preoccupied with that right now. Because I don't think he will be, you know, gone or unalive or anything like that. So
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm like, where's Otto? Otto, we need you.
yeah,
And look at me saying we. I'm Team Black through and through,
right.
but
But we need somebody over here
we
because
need
this is
somebody with
it's
some
a
sense,
mess.
like
Yeah,
somebody who could. But my thing is, Amen, you're calling him, but are you going to listen to him? Do you respect your grandfather enough to listen to his wise counsel, or why do you want him there? Is my question.
right.
Do you trust him? I'm sure you do. You don't trust these people. But my thing is, who are you going to listen to? Because it doesn't appear that he listens to
You
anyone.
listen to anyone.
Oh, and I thought it was so interesting where they were talking about the Red Kraken, and they said Alicent should marry to the Red Kraken. I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Oh gosh, and is
The
that's not.
Greyjoys.
Yeah, no, the Greyjoys, but it's not going to be like the ones that we know. It's going to be like their grandparent or great
Right,
grandparent.
their ancestor,
Well,
correct.
it's interesting to see that they were insufferable even for generations and
Mm-hmm.
for generations and generations. That's something.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. Let me just kind of put this. Where is it? I want to add this to the stage really quickly. Where we talked about where's Otto, so that was the slide where
Mhm.
Alicent and Gwaine were talking about it, and also talking about Daeron. I made this slide specifically about Daeron because I'm like, we have heard a lot about him, and Daeron in the books is a major character, and I'm sure they're setting it up for him to be introduced as a major character next season
Okay.
as well. So yeah, I'm just interested to see who this kid is. Of who is what do they say? 10 and 6 or something. 16 years
16,
old. Yeah.
handsome. Yeah.
Uh, kind.
Small.
When they said he was kind, that kind of warmed my heart when he.
And you know what I thought? I was like, yeah, Allison, he's kind because he was raised by somebody other than you.
Mhm.
He's a good
Mhm.
person because he's raised by somebody other than you.
Mhm.
I know I come down hard on Allison, but she's just a horrible mother. I'm sorry.
No, it is. It is. And I thought it was just seeing the interact. First of all, I'm like, I really do think that Alicent wanted to talk to Crispy,
She
but her
did.
brother's there, so she's like, let me just talk to him and whatever. But obviously bidding him farewell and all of that stuff, that wasn't towards her brother, that was towards Christian Cole.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Um okay, another important scene that is setting us up. I have more questions that I had answers when I saw this, but it was with Rhaenyra, and there is a dragon in the Vale. There's a dragon in the Vale.
Which dragon is it though?
So let me tell you who I think it is. And obviously, they're doing this differently. This didn't happen in the book. So I'm telling everyone, when you're reading the books, you guys, they being the directors and producers, whatever, have creative license to change what they need to change. It's going to happen. And even if it's following the text, there are certain things in the text that leave room for things to be interpreted. Okay. I don't know, to be quite honest with you, because do I want to say this?
Don't tell anything. No
Um,
spoilers.
okay, I'm going to say this. There is a character in the book who I do not think, and the consensus of people who've read the book and who are also doing videos on YouTube is that this character is not going to be in this TV series.
Okay.
Um, but I am also like hesitant, and I don't really know because number one, I don't know how long they're going to be following events post Civil War, Targaryen Civil War, which is important. Um, and I don't know if they're just going to like stop, after the Civil War and that's the end of this House of Dragon series. I don't know. But, anyways, I just think that there is a character in here that this is an interesting and potentially good way for them to introduce this character, but I don't think they are. So that changes everything. But so your question is, who do I think this dragon is? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the dragon is sheep stealer.
Oh,
And then the clues that
yeah,
I got was the burnt sheep that were in the Vale. I mean, those are sheep.
yeah, yeah.
So I was like, this has got to be sheep stealer.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, we'll see whether or not the theory is right. But
And it's a wild dragon, and he's one of the only ones I know. There's is it carnivore or whatever?
Hannibal,
Um,
Hannibal,
Hannibal, yeah.
Hannibal.
That one and Vermithor, but Vermithor was once written by somebody, so I don't consider him wild,
No,
but like
um,
Sheep Stealer
Silverwing, right?
I
Silverwing.
think yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did
So yeah,
Silverwing
that
have a
makes it.
rider?
I don't know. I can't think. I don't know.
I can't remember either. But
But
yeah,
yeah.
Sheep Stealer has never been claimed. Cannibal has never been claimed, and I feel like there's a third dragon that's never been claimed that lives on or around. What do you call it? Dragonstone. Nevertheless, yeah, that's when I saw this. But the thing is, I'm like, why didn't the Vale, Lady Aaron, tell her?
Tell her. I don't know because I was wondering that too. That was the question I was wondering. Why didn't she tell?
Was she trying to find someone else to ride the dragon?
I don't know.
I'm just like, I don't understand why she wouldn't tell her that there's a dragon there.
I don't know. I don't know why she kept it from her.
Hmm. So
But it
that's
seems like
interesting.
she's trying to get rid of them, doesn't it? Sending them off the Pentos. Oh,
Right.
was that always the plan?
I thought that was always the plan.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I'm confused. I'm confused now. Because I want to say in the book, I remember them being in the Vale, but I don't remember them being in the Vale for long. And anyway, yeah, okay. I'm gonna keep going before I say any more. Okay. This is not, I don't believe I have a slide for this, but I did want to discuss Haelena, and I think it's the birds that were in the cage, and she
Mhm.
says, oh, one of them is not singing.
Oh, I wonder
One
what
of them
that
stopped
means.
singing. Huh?
I wonder what that means.
Yeah, I was very, very much confused. And I was trying to do a deep dive to understand. Some people were saying, well, they represent Aegon, Aemond, and Haelena. And I'm like, that doesn't really make any sense to me because Alicent has 4 children. So where's Daeron? Why is there only 3? Then someone else said that maybe that was a foreshadowing of Seasmoke. And so, there's Seasmoke is, he's singing. He wants someone. They are singing the song. He stopped singing because he's found a writer. I don't know. A lot of people were trying to like look into that, and I'm like, none of these are making complete sense to me. So I don't really know what Haelena. And I'm like, honestly, when I saw her on the screen, I was tired, but I sat up straight and my ears perked up, and I was like, no, you got to listen to what this girl says because what she says always means something. But I honestly couldn't decipher it. So I'm gonna have to do more deep dive and figure out what is going on with that saying that Haelena stated. Um, I guess this is kind of a good way to segue into the small folk. And a couple of things happened. We have the talk of spreading the
Yeah.
rumors in the bar. I think it starts
We
with
real
there.
we
Talking about
understand now what the young lady was doing when she
Mhm.
snuck in, and was speaking to the madam, um, just basically telling the plan of how they wanted to start the rumors of going around about the uh, prince and all of the royals feasting away while the small folk are starving. That's
Mhm.
kind of genius to me. That was a good plan. Um, and then we have the boats just coming up with
Mhm.
aid, FEMA aid
Oh
workers,
God, not FEMA.
like coming up with food.
You know, I'm also like the small folk are so fickle. It's so like, and I get it. I get it because I think of what is it? The hierarchy of needs in psychology. And it's like, if you don't have food or shelter, you have to like before you get up to self-actualization, there are just basic needs that need to be met. And I get how that can become fickle with whoever is in power because you're like, you got to go where people are fitting your at least your most basic of needs. But I thought it was interesting how they flip against well I guess flip against the green so quickly, and it's like you hear them saying in the streets, Queen Rhaenyra, Queen Rhaenyra, and I'm like, y'all were so quick and easy to accept Aegon as your king when Rhaenyra was supposed to be the heir, but when so I thought that was a bit interesting. But no, definitely I was like, yeah, they're playing the long game. The fruits were not rotten. And then
Right.
we see Hugh basically fighting in the streets for food, and I'm assuming it's for his daughter.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was a sad scene. And even this to see the scene of his wife like standing in line all day for food and not getting
Right. And they
anything.
just run out and it's like nothing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
those people are starving. I
Mhm.
honestly, I don't think it was overnight for them. Like,
No.
imagine being like hungry and like being stuck. They won't let them leave. So
Mhm.
they're being made to be prisoners and then they don't have any food or anything. And so yeah, I can see I can see how revolt would be something that would happen. I can see how it would be easy to turn the tide and get them on her side by doing that. That was a good idea. That was a really good idea. And we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. Um I did I was scared for Alicent and Haelena when they
Mhm.
were in the set and they almost got attacked.
Mhm.
But that just goes to show you how dangerous and how desperate those people are. Like, you can't be parading around here like royalty and people are starving.
Mhm.
And the people that are giving us aid aren't even the people that we are calling our, queen and king and all this type of stuff. Like, no. Like, I can see them being like, okay, the person I'm with the person who's feeding me, and that's Queen Rhaenyra. So yeah.
Agreed, agreed. Okay. Moving up a little bit, I want to um discuss the scene with Alice and Daemon. And we talked a little bit, we talked again, her quote, those who strive for it are best suited are not are excuse me, are least suited to wield it, her talking about the throne.
Mhm.
But I thought it was an interesting conversation that she had with Damon with regards to Grover Tully. And she told him that what she needs him to do is nothing. I think she said for 3 days,
For 3 days. Yep.
do
Yep.
nothing. Um, and then lo and behold, we learned from Sir Simon Strong that Alice, who is one of their renowned healers, went to go aid Grover Tully, and it didn't work.
Right.
I immediately thought this lady took him out. What did you think?
I thought that too.
Okay. Okay, so we're on the same page with that. And I wanted to know why. I want to know there are a couple of things. I'm like, I want to know, is she the one who is causing Damon to waste all of this time in Luigi's mansion, or or is she kind of playing a hand and everything? Remember, she said you are not a player; you are merely a piece, a pawn in this game, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, who is this player? The gods? Her? Is she a player? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Mm.
That is a
Oh,
good question.
yeah, that was interesting to me. Okay, and then this was obviously a very this was a very random moment um between, give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Between Rhaenyra and Mysaria.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
was. I was like, no, don't do this.
I know, I'm like, and look at me. I'm over here being like, Rhaenyra, you're a married woman. I'm like, you're a married woman. What are you doing? Like, you
Right,
can't do what you're doing. What the guys do, but we're supposed to be like, no, don't do that. Uphold your vows.
right.
Yeah. And so obviously Massaria is you know re- renewed her statement of loyalty to Rhaenyra. I
Yeah,
thought it was cute when she was like, Rhaenyra has the sword, and she's dragging the sword around, and she's like, if I may,
that's
that's
yeah.
becoming of you.
Yeah, I guess that was her way of flirting. That was her, that was when she, I guess, that's what I thought about. I said, oh, I guess when she was telling her that was
Mhm.
becoming, she was letting her know, like she checking her out or something. Because I'm like,
Mhm.
that was just so quick. I'm like,
Mhm.
dang, they kissing? Like what?
Yeah, but honestly, I'm sorry. Going back to the sword, I'm seeing Rhaenyra carry that sword, and I'm like, girl, can you use it? That's what
That's
I
what,
need to
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like, all of this time that you're in here being, in your eyes, useless to the realm, why don't you have one of those knights help you so then you can go ahead and defend yourself? So if anyone tries to sneak into your bedroom in Dragonstone, you know how to take them out instead of, waiting on someone else to do
They're
it.
trying to help you, yeah.
Right. But nevertheless, I'm like, yeah, girl, you want to be, I was going to say Nymeria, not Nymeria. What's her name? Visenya. You want to be Visenya so bad. I'm like, girl, let's do this. You can't just, say it. You got to be about it
You
as
got to
well.
be about it, be about the life. Need
So
to see. I'm hoping she does have some kind of training going on.
I hope so. I would like to see her. And I don't know if, yeah, I would just like to see her have some sort of, like, I don't know, action in that way. I kind of swept through this, but Grover Tully is gone, right?
Yeah.
Daemon, did he seem, of course he seemed happy, right? To you?
He started crying.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't really know this. I don't really know what's going on, because I'm like, Daemon, I think I know, and then I don't. So I'm like, are you upset that somebody else did the work for you? Are you upset that you probably now did he that you have probably now have an army? Are you upset that maybe you did too much damage so that these people might not even want to rock with you?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just like, I don't feel like this is not an easy road for Daemon. So yeah, we shall see.
We shall
Uh,
see.
and and so there's a lot that I want to talk about, but I mean, we got to go to this scene, and we can kind of go back if we need to. But I'm seeing Adam and Seasmoke is saying, I do the choosing,
Listen,
and I
this
was
was
like, what is going on
this
here?
was my favorite scene of the
Mhm.
whole episode.
Mhm.
This right here, when when Seasmoke first like came down and was like kind of like playing with him.
Mhm.
I was like, wait a minute, what's happening? I was like,
Mhm.
what's happening? And then when he ran through the woods and like Sea Smoke was following him and he thought he had, lost him.
Mhm.
And he just and I was like, oh my gosh. I knew it. I was like, he's choosing him.
Mhm.
He's choosing him. Like all
Mhm.
these people, all these Targaryens, like they have to go and be bonded with the dragon, but no, this dragon is choosing him. I thought that was so cool. And I
Mhm.
was so envious. I was like, "Oh, I want to be, I want that. I want
Mhm.
that's how I want to that's how I want it to be."
So there were a couple of things that came to mind when I saw that, in juxtaposing Adam's experience with Steffan's experience. But King Viserys's words came to mind, where he was like, the idea that we control the dragons is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, this guy, we are over here trying to find people with Targaryen blood, and here comes this guy minding his own business. Besides looking up at the sky whenever Seasmoke is, going through whatever that Spice Island or whatever they call that place. And I'm like, here goes Seasmoke. And yeah, I couldn't tell if he was attacking him at first. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, this guy is just trying to run for his life. He knows nothing of don't show these dragons fear. I'm sure he doesn't know the High Valyrian tongue or anything.
That's
And he's
it.
being chosen. This is
Yeah.
interesting. The interesting thing is this is not how it happened in the books. At least that's not how it was written. And the way it was written in the books was that like people were sought after to ride these dragons, and people who potentially have who are dragon seeds. So dragon seeds are people who do have dragon blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to say this, and then again, this is all saying that I don't know what they're going to do in the story, but at least in the book, if I'm not mistaken, the mother of Adam and what's his brother's name? Alan of Hull is a Targaryen bastard.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I don't, but the thing is, I don't know if that's true, right? I don't know. We don't know. We don't even know in the book who, if that's true. We don't know.
Okay.
I think it's just kind of rumored. I think it's what some people might have said. I think it might be something that the blacks might have put into people's ears so then they can still believe that someone of Targaryen blood is riding these dragons. So then
Right.
not that anyone can ride them.
Right.
Someone with Targaryen blood. But I'm interested to see their story. To me, they're like two of the most interesting characters in the story. Or at least I'll say I'll stick by that. I'll stand by that and say in the story. I think they're two of the most interesting people in the story.
Okay.
I want to know who their mother is. I knew that Alan was shaving his head. They don't say this in the book either, but I knew that he was shaving his head because he probably had silver hair growing and he was shaving it to cover it, because I'm like, wait, his brother has black dreads. And I'm like, ooh, I wonder why he's bald. Like, I wonder why he's bald.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
I
So in
didn't
the
see
beginning,
that.
I knew he was shaving his head to hide it. And then, when he came through with the covering on his head, I was like, why he's got his head covered? He's hiding that silver hair. And so, yeah, I really, really want to know their story. I'll also say in the book, I think it's apparent, obviously, right, that Alan and Adam are, the bastard children of Corlys Valerian.
Mhm.
But in the books, they hint at that fact, but it is more thought of, or I think they rely heavily on them, Adam and Alan being the bastard children of what's Laenor Valerian. But
Oh,
we
you
know,
told okay, you
right?
did
But we
tell
know
me
that's not
that.
true. We know that's
We
not true.
know. We
Yeah,
know
we know
that's
that's not true. But I presume that that's probably what the sea snake is going to say to the council, the Black Council, for whatever reason, instead of telling the truth. But I'm like, honestly, I mean, I think everyone probably knows the truth. And we'll just kind of accept whatever it is that Corlys tells them. But no, that scene was amazing. I wanted to see him ride the dragon. I am so excited to
I'm so excited to see him because he already riding it like at the end of the episode.
mhm.
They tell
I'm
you like there's somebody riding so it's like Seasmoke was like, come on, and yeah.
And then Queen Rhaenyra hops on her dragon to go ahead, because she's like, it must be the blacks or the greens. It must be the
Yeah.
greens. Like, who else
Yeah.
could it be? And so, yeah, I am interested to see how this is going. Obviously, we're going to have more dragon riders.
Yes.
I want to see how that kind of goes about. I want to see, because I do think it's important for them to show how other people who are non-Targaryens are riding dragons. In the preview for this upcoming episode, I think Jacaerys tells his mom, like, we are, the dragon is our, that's our house. So if anybody can ride it, that diminishes,
Yeah.
the dragon. Yeah, it diminishes, which is true. But I'm like, you guys are the one who kind of put it into, put that into play to begin with.
Right.
The other thing is that I am so interested to see how Daemon is going to react knowing that non-Targaryen people are riding dragons as well. I don't know why. I just instantly thought
Ooh.
I thought Daemon. I was like, ooh, is Daemon gonna flip his wig or what's gonna happen?
What can he do though? What can he really?
Nothing. But as radical as I think Daemon's ideas are, I wonder if he would think that they went too far with this one. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, because it takes the spec like this. I mean, I would wonder what the Greens would think too. Like, Aemon, if Aegon was alive, well, he's alive, but if he was like up, like I think they all would probably be a little like, what? Like, no, because it takes this like the exclusivity away
Mhm.
from it. Um, they're looked at as if they're gods because they can ride dragons. If everybody can ride them, if anybody can ride, then
Mhm.
that kind of takes away their power too. It leaves them kind of vulnerable.
Absolutely, which is why it brings me back to Lady Erin of the Vale, because I'm like, why the heck do you have a dragon? And are you trying to solicit a dragon and have potentially, have somebody on your team ride them as well? I don't know, but that's the thing that came into mind because I'm like, why are you knowingly have a dragon, but you're not telling this girl?
And she's not saying nothing.
So I was like, I wonder if that has anything
And
to do
she
with
wanted dragons. Remember, that was the whole thing. She was
that.
a little mad because no dragon was with Rhaenyra. It was only
Mhm.
the baby dragons and the egg.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm interested on how this is going to play out. This was a good episode. It wasn't like action packed in the way that everybody is generally likes to see it the same way as season 5, or excuse me, episode 5 was,
Yeah.
but still a very important episode to set things up. And so yeah,
For the
all right.
last two episodes.
Yeah, and I'm like, y'all, I'm gonna need yeah, so let's kind of go all out with this. Let's go all out. But yeah, so do we anything else that we need to discuss? Anything that we missed?
Um
Look at my notes really quickly. I think that's
I think that's oh well we talked well we didn't talk about when Corliss, but I guess it wasn't nothing really to talk about when Corliss was talking to Alan and pretty much gave him orders
mhm.
to be on the ship with him. Um,
Mm.
it's kind of in a way I feel like it's leading up to him kind of like tr- considering having him play a more of a role in like what he does. So maybe potentially he may want to leave him or make him heir Driftmark. Like I wonder why he's taking more of a liking to Alan all of a sudden.
And the thing that's interesting too is, and this was the conversation the brothers were having, it's like, oh, he takes a liking to you, but he doesn't even see me. I'm like, he gonna have to see you, honey, when you ride in a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I
Yep.
just thought that was really interesting. How the least of us becomes the most to
Yep.
a certain extent. Um, oh my gosh, there was something else I wanted to say about. Uh, I think I lost it. I think I lost it. But yeah, interesting way that the season is panning out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting way. All right. Well, I think that is it for this episode. You guys stay tuned. We are back every Monday after work. I say after work because the times may change. But so it's definitely going to be around 5 or after that. We'll let you all know. But thank you for joining us for another great discussion. And we will see you next week.
Bye.